Hi, thanks for checking another one of our videos here on YouTube. We've got 750 give or take videos as of, well, shoot, we're almost March now of 2022. But this is an old Speedrite. It's a HPM, standing for high power mains, which, mains means AC, 110, 240, whatever voltage. This is a 110, 120 volt unit. But a little bit about us: we are an independent mom pop shop, works on these electric fence boxes, old style, new style. I don't care if it's 50 or 60 years old or new. We're working on about any of this stuff. We give free quotes. So if you got an old Speedrite unit, want to send it to us for a repair, we'd be happy to look at it. We can work a lot of magic with this stuff. So even these old ones like this unit, I talked to the customer about it. I said, when did you buy this thing? He's like, oh gosh, probably back in the 1980s, since I don't remember what year exactly, but in the 1980s when I got that unit. And so when I opened it up, it was definitely old school. It has some old style electronics in it and stuff. But I didn't make a repair video on there because it took me like an hour and a half to fix this thing to get it right. So it just took forever anyway. So that's why I didn't make a video on it. If I should have probably made like a 2 or 3 part video maybe on it, but I was kind of learning as I was going how I wanted to fix this thing. It's like a 6 joule unit, packs a hell of a punch, maybe bigger than that, maybe like a 7-8 joule units, but it packs a hell of a punch. So what we had to do to this thing was, there's 2 capacitors in there. They're both shot. They didn't read anything at all. It's like, oh man, that's easy fix. They didn't have the capacitors for that model or that style anymore, was long gone. So I found some capacitors that would work. Same microfarad rating, same voltage rating, just a different shape. So we had to have little tabs on there, little leads, and we had to extend the leads, solder some wires to the right polarity contacts, and plug it into the corresponding spots. And then we plugged it in with the original board. Still wouldn't come on. Like, well, at least we had in the right direction. At least started with one problem. And I realized, oh, there's 2 fuses on there. One fuse was good, one fuse was bad. Put the other fuse in there, plugged it in, still nothing. Checked both fuses again, they're both good. Alright. Oh no, then it came on. That's right, it came on, but it's clicking like really super fast. Like, every quarter second it was pulsing. And we can only get about 4,000 volts out of it. And so I took the board out, tried to fix the old board, and unfortunately struck out on it because some of the parts on there, I didn't know what the heck they were. They weren't marked. They had no writing on there. They weren't resistors. They weren't dialed. I don't know what the heck they were. I don't know if they were good or bad or not. But everything else I could test on that I knew what they were, all tested good. So I didn't know what to do with it then. So I was like, man, what can I do with this thing? I really don't want to throw the thing away. It's too, old school unit. The case is in good shape. The plastic's 35 years old, give or take, 35, 40 years old. And I didn't want to throw it away. I want to try to fix this unit for this guy, since he's had it for such a long time. I want to try to help him out. Because a new one of this quality, this style, would be like a Speedrite 6000. And like I said, this is based on the joules, or the capacitors and everything in there. About a 6 to 8 joule unit. They're pushing almost $400 for a new one. So I took a board out from for another style of unit. No, it's still low impedance, but a different model, different style, brand. And I was like, let's see if we make that thing fit inside there. Luckily I did. Before I fastened everything together, I kind of hardwired everything and left everything kind of laying loose. Plugged it in, and then it went to clicking like every 1.3 seconds or so, like it's supposed to. So I was like, oh good, we're doing better now. Check the output. Woo! Check the output here. Like 4,000 volts, give or take. I'm like, oh damn. We got a transformer going out, I guess. So sometimes with transformers on the primary side, it typically doesn't matter, but some of these older ones, they do have a sort of a polarity to them to a point. So reverse the polarity on the input side of the transformer, and plugged it back in, and same thing. So I left it alone. So I knew the transformer the polarity part wasn't an issue. I thought maybe the output board goes to fence and ground inside there was bad or something. So I unplugged the transformer from that board, thinking maybe it was loaded down. Tested it. Tested the transformer right at the output of the transformer. I think it went up by like 500 volts, like 4,500 or so. So I knew, like, well, transformer's isn't any good. So I got looking around. Said, well, what can we do with this thing? There's plenty of room to work with inside there. Let's get the transformer out. So I took found a transformer that would handle the kind of joules that this thing develops, and hardwired it in there, kind of temporarily fastened it in place, plugged it in, and boom, shot right up to like 7,000 volts, 6.5 to 7,000 volts out of the thing. I was like, all right, good. Now we're working. Then I went in there and just started fastening everything where it needed to go, make sure that everything was staying in place where it's supposed to be, where it needed to be, and then we're raring to go. And then I got looking, there's a little red light here. It flashed with every pulse. It wasn't flashing. So I desoldered, pulled the old bulb out. It was completely burned out. Soldered a new one in because it was a pretty standard bulb. Soldered a new one in. Now the red light flashed with every pulse. And then this knob here, the fence knob, this has a full power, half power, and ground. I said, do you use a half power at all? He's like, no, I've never used that. So he didn't give it the half power. But the full power knob, he was missing this red knob. Just like this black one here, he was missing it. I said, you happen to have the red knob for that still? Because I didn't have it here. He's like, no, it's been gone for however long it's been gone. He said, I was just kind of putting a nut on there and tying a pair of pliers and kind of tightening it on there. I said, well, you want me to try to fix that for you? Well, what would you charge me? Because I'd already quoted him a price to fix it. He said, yeah, go ahead and fix it. I said, do you want me to try to fix that hot side for you? Yeah, well, how much is that going to cost me? He said, nothing. I'll do it for free. So it's a nut, it's a bolt, a wing nut, and a couple washers, and a couple nuts to hold everything in place. So I didn't care about that. It took me like 5-10 minutes to do all of it, to get it right, because the bolt I put in there is about this much longer, so it was stuck up to here, and I was like, you don't need all that. So I marked it, put the bolt in a vise, and took a cutting wheel and cut it where I needed it, filed off the edge a little bit to smooth it out, and I put that wing nut on there, and I put a couple washers in there so you could put the wire between them if you wanted to. And then he's like, is that the hot side or the ground side? I said, it's your hot side. And so I marked it for him because it sounded a little unsure. So I put a sticky note on there, put fence and ground, put some tape across it so it would protect it and keep it on there. That way, I don't know where he's going to have this installed. Hopefully he's had it indoors. Hopefully that wouldn't fade. That tape would kind of keep it from fading. And then I put three bigger self-tapping screws through there. There's a little longer than the case was. So took the little cutting wheel and cut them off a little bit so that way, he wouldn't nick his hand on there, because it came through the case a little bit, and I didn't want him being a point. Didn't want anybody to get cut by it. So I cut those off a bit, made them a little more even. And I didn't even charge him for the bulb. I just did it. And he said, that bulb's been burned out for a long time. I said, well, it's cosmetic. It doesn't hurt anything. But we'll change out that bulb for you. Not a big deal. It takes it's a 10-cent piece. And it took me like a minute to change it or less. I mean, there's 2 solder joints and put it in there. You got to kind of hold it in place. But enough yapping. Let's plug this thing in. See a light flashing on there. Now, camera's not picking it up every single time, but it is flashing every single time. So, this thing's got a lot of new parts in it. Customer's pretty happy that we got it going for him. See, about 6.5 to 7 kV. And then we'll do a spark jump across there, show you it popping and sparking. We go from ground to fence. Nice hot shock. So yeah, I like working on this old stuff. You know, the some of these old ones, you know, God, yeah, they're 35 years old, but man, they're well-made stuff. So if you got an old Speedrite or an old Gallagher, an old Parmac, or an old Zariba or whatever, you got an old Finch charger from 25, 30, 40 years ago, man, don't throw it out. People throw away such good stuff these days that just because it's old, or if you take it to a place or send it to a place or call up a place, say, hey, can you fix this one for us? And say you send it to them, well, they'll take a look at it like, ooh, this thing's older than dirt. Pull it apart, trying to work on it, and then they'll call up Speedrite or Gallagher or whoever. Say, hey, I'm looking for a board for such and such model, or looking for a transformer for such and such model. Of course, they're going to say, well, no, I mean, parts haven't been made for that thing in 20 years. So, oh, okay, well, so what do I do? Is, well, you have to sell the customer a new one, tell them it can't be fixed. Well, you know, then you send it to a place like us, and we'll fix it. So, you know, you sent to the right place. We can almost, not every time, we can almost every time work some magic, rewire, retrofit, and make old units run again. So this has got a handful of new parts in it. You know, brand new unit of this size and quality is $400, give or take, maybe a little less, a little more, somewhere in that range. And we fixed this thing for it was less, even with shipping, it was less than half that price. I think it was like $160 with parts, labor, and shipping. And he lives all the way out in Oregon, and we're here in um, Missouri, so it's a bit of a shipping cost to get it out there. But even with shipping and everything, is like 160, 180 or something like that. So less than half the price to fix. Got a lot of new parts. We went ahead and I said, I'll help you out just to help because of the price a little bit. I said we'll put a 2-year warranty on the repairs. Typically do 18 months. But we're going to put a 2-year on there to kind of ease his mind a little bit. He wasn't too worried about it. He was pretty thrilled to get it fixed. He said, I've had the thing for 35 years. I love the thing. It's been great. It's worked fine for 20 plus. We've had it worked on one other time. And but that was the only other time we had it worked on. So in 35 years, give or take, this thing, we were the second person or placed to work on this thing in 30 some years. And he said he uses it pretty regularly. He said this thing was running for decades without much trouble, and then something happened to it, quit on him, so he got it fixed one time way back when, and then it quit here 6 months ago, and he finally decided, well, I'm going to ship this off to you and see if this guy can fix it, because I think he tried to take it to a couple other places, or talked to a couple other places, and they couldn't fix it, of course, and so he found me online and said, I'm going to give this guy a shot. Well, look at this. Got a 35-year-old Speedrite going again. So if you got an old unit, don't throw it out just because someone says it's old and can't be fixed because they don't know what they're doing. Sent to a place like me that can usually fix these things. So we work a lot of magic with this stuff, and we bring a lot of old ones back from the dead and make them run like new again. So be happy to give you a quote on stuff. Happy to take a look at it for you. Like I said, we're independent. We just my full-time gig working on this stuff. I don't do this as a hobby. This is my full-time job working on things for people. I appreciate if you like to send something to us. I mean, if I don't work on nothing, I don't make any money, and I can't pay my bills. So send something to me. I can pay some bills. So till next time, we'll see you guys later on, and have a good day.